is my great pleasure to introduce Anton Yelchin. So Anton, my first question to you is, how did you get involved with the project? What brought you to it?
Yeah, it's a very sensitive mic here. Can I talk like this? I can. It's amazing. I could probably chuck it over then. I just got the script and I read it. It was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I read it and then I met with Vinod and then it went away for a long time. And then I got a text from Vinod saying hello, this is Vinod Chopra. A year later, I want you to come in and read for this script. I was like, okay. Or he was like, no, come to dinner or something. And you can't really, it's not like an invitation really. It's more like you're just coming to dinner. And so I went to dinner and then I read for him. And yeah, it was a pretty straightforward process. Yeah.
So what was, okay, like Vinod's from India, he's an Indian filmmaker. This is his first movie here. What was it like working with him versus working with some of the other directors you worked with?
Oh, I don't know that there's much of a, because this is sort of a corny statement, but I think there's truth to it that, cinema is really a global language. The language of cinema certainly has nationalistic characteristics depending on where the filmmaker's from and the history of the country that he's from. But I don't think that you cannot make a film in your native country or in your native tongue, because film is sound and is image, and you create, perhaps you infuse, I think this film, our sort of cinema language in the States and sort of the global cinema language, mainstream global cinema language seems to have devolved into this sort of rapid cutting, as many shots as you can get in as quickly as possible to move on to the next idea, if there is one at all. Whereas Vinod's film language is really built around images and constructing sort of mise en scène and constructing ideas that way. And I think that is something that's part of his national cinema. And he infuses American genres with that, so that's a difference, I'd say. But that is not to say that you couldn't find that in an American filmmaker or an Iranian filmmaker or a filmmaker from, New Zealand. I think that's just, it just is a kind of magical thing that occurs within cinema history, the influence of images and the exchange of ideas.
So one of the things that really stands out for me is your relationship with Chris Marquette. How good was Chris Marquette? Can you talk about that? How you guys worked on that?
Yeah, I'd actually worked with Chris twice. I just always thought he was such a wonderful actor. The first film we did together was a film called Alpha Dog, and I remember this character in there that I read the screenplay for, and I just thought, whatever, it's fine. Sort of like, one of those characters that you just read on the page and don't really get anything out of it. And I remember I came on set and there was this kid bouncing on this trampoline doing this crazy voice with this greasy wig on, like this wonderful greasy wig. And I just remember thinking, who the fuck is that kid? Who's that guy, And what character is he playing? And I found out he's playing this character that on the page was like nothing. And from that moment, I just had such tremendous respect for him, for his imaginative qualities as a performer. So I think because of that, because we worked together on a show called Huff for maybe half a season or something worth of episodes, I feel this affinity towards him and warmth and friendship with him. So in terms of the relationship between the two brothers, we already have affection for one another and respect for one another. So it was nice. It came very easily.
Do you guys work on it outside of rehearsing with Vinod, or did you discuss that?
No, not really. I mean, I think Chris and I both do our homework. When we would come on set, we were really on the same page. I don't remember many rehearsals outside of shooting.
I know we have one at least a few Maria Valverde fans in the audience.
Oh, wonderful.
So I want to ask you, what was it like working with Maria and her being sort of a Spanish actress in the middle of such a specifically American landscape?
Well, she's, Maria, I think the reason that Vinod wanted someone like Maria is that she's very warm, as a human being, and you have to believe that it's plausible that someone would be hurt enough and care enough to go find someone, and care about them and be their sort of support. And she just has that as a human being. She's very kind and very warm and very, it's just in her eyes, I think it's self-evident. It's very much in her eyes that she's lovely and she's very good, and I really enjoyed working with her. I think, there's just this sort of, she's very beautiful and very sexy, which are, superficial things, and they're fine and great, but if you don't have those things inside of you that are vital, it doesn't matter how beautiful or sexy you are, you can't play this character and you can't do certain things, and she definitely has this kind of human warmth that's wonderful. Is that good, fans? Fans? She's great.
And so for the Vincent D'Onofrio fans, I know the first time I met Vincent.
He's also beautiful. Very warm.
Sexy in a different way. He was such a nice, beautiful, wonderful person, and then he's playing such an evil character on set. In the film. So how did you work with him? What was it like working with him?
Well, the majority of, I didn't have that many scenes with him, but what's great about Vincent is just, from his filmography, you see he's this wonderful sort of shape-shifting actor, and sort of enjoys that process of shape-shifting and coming up with moments. He's an incredibly creative actor, as evidenced in his prior work, and it's fun to watch him create these moments. There's certain ways that he says certain things in the script. I think my favorite line, maybe in the whole film, is when he's like talking about, killing, when they're trying to figure out where the phone call is going to come in, and he goes like, "Fucking skull." I love how he says that. I could watch that on a loop probably all day. Skull. I really like it. It's like little things like that. He's incredibly imaginative,
I was going to say, we submitted that to the MPA for the first trailer.
Skull. What did he say? I think he said skull. I'm not sure though. It's exuberant though. Fuck it. Sorry, excuse my language. Sorry. It's a lot in the movie. It's a lot in the movie. I would love to direct. I've been making little weird shorts and stuff on VHS cameras and stuff.
I'm sorry, did you say VHS?
Yeah, VHS and VHS-C.
I think you're younger than VHS.
Yeah, I still remember. I actually relate to VHS because all my home movies are on it. And so, it's beautiful seeing your your memories degrade. It's like something sad and beautiful about that when you're like, remember this moment? Oh no, it's static. I can't see it anymore. But there's something so true and honest about that in a way that I think HD just isn't. It's so pristine and it's meant to be so perfect, and it's just, we're moving to this weird, 4K realm where, even the grain texture. I have to say this film was made on film. It was shot on 35, which is a rare kind of amazing thing that Vinod did, because it's crazy. No one shoots on 35 anymore. That's a lot of money for processing, for everything. And this may be one of the last films, other than the films of filmmakers like Tarantino and JJ shot Star Trek on film, but it's going away. It's disappearing, and the grain texture is unlike anything that will ever exist once it's gone. That has nothing to do with what your question was. I just felt like I should say that since I don't know. It's important to note when these things happen, and Tom Stern's work is so stunning.
Incredible. The great Tom Stern.
Yeah, it's incredible, and you just won't have that at a certain point in cinema. That will go away, which I think is quite sad, Thank you for backing me up there, In terms of, what I borrow from filmmakers, we were talking earlier about Joe Dante, who all the filmmakers that I admire and I've worked with have an encyclopedic knowledge of cinema, for the most part. And that especially Joe. Joe is like, I don't know, you can ask Joe about any movie. We were talking about wonderful DP Stanley Cortez, and Joe was talking about this movie, I think it's called They Found Hitler's Brain. This is incredible knowledge of things. It's inspiring. It's important, I think, for me, is someone has to know this stuff. Because if no one does, it's going to go away. And when it goes away, we're going to have a very shallow, vapid, empty cinema, and it's important to be educated. I know Martin Scorsese advocates visual, there's a different term for it that I'm talking about. Oh, it has to do with horses. What's the technical term? Visual literacy. I think visual literacy is incredibly important because we're reading less and less and staring at things more and more. And without visual literacy, we lose the ability to understand the majority of things that we're seeing on screens. And so I take that away from filmmakers that I really admire, is their visual literacy. I think that's incredibly important. I don't think you can make films without it. Or you can, but of course you can make films however the hell you want to make films. But I think that's very important to me.
Excellent. Sorry, I just one last question. How awesome is Tilda Swinton?
Tilda's amazing. Yeah, she's magical. She's like, she might as well be floating. Like when she walks, she's just got this light that emanates from her, and she just makes even sort of pessimistic people like me feel good about myself and everything. When you're around her, you're just like, don't you feel good right now? And then you walk like 10 feet away, and you're like, I feel less good. And then you move back to her, and you're like, I feel great again. She's really beautiful, and she's an extraordinary performer. But yeah, she's magical. She's magical. It's really magical.
Awesome. Fantastic questions from the audience. It's weird to be on this side for once. Yes, that good-looking young man in the striped shirt right there.
How did you get the character? It's such a unique role you got to play.
This is going to sound funny. I don't know if you guys, there's a Friedkin film called Cruising. It's not necessarily Friedkin's most popular film. I love it. I think it's a great film. The fundamental thing for me about that character is that when you meet Al Pacino, you're like, something's weird about Al Pacino right now. And then by the end of the film, you're like, oh, okay. That's what was weird about it, But I think that was for me sort of, I said that to Vinod. I don't know if Vinod's seen Cruising. Cruising might not be something Vinod's very interested in, knowing Vinod, but that idea that when we meet this guy, he's kind of mute and weird, and you realize it's like he's carrying all this stuff, and he's the kind of person that could kill someone. I mean, that for me is the most important thing. It's like, not everyone can kill someone, but he's just got enough unhappiness and kind of odd, unpleasant energy inside of him to want to kill someone and then still want to play violin and so that was the guiding force. And credit to Vinod and Abhijat Joshi, who's Vinod's co-writer and who I just think is wonderful, and I really enjoyed meeting and working with Abhijat. Would indulge pages and pages and pages of notes that I had. Not notes on the script, but notes about the script and ideas and things about character. And they were so kind to indulge these ludicrously long emails that maybe it's an Indian thing. I don't know. I don't like to generalize about nationalities, but maybe they're just more tolerant, because they're like, I don't know. It was nice though. That's a bad joke. I take that. I rewind. I don't like that joke. I'm sorry.
You can say Indian, that's fine.
No. You know what I mean? I don't know that it's a cultural thing or a national thing. I think it's just Abhijat and Vinod. They care. They know you care, so they respond to it, and they really indulge me. I really appreciate that.
Sorry, a question from the man in the glasses back there?
Yeah, congratulations to you and
Thank you.
One quick question, did you try your hands at learning any Indian languages as you were working with Vinod?
No, I didn't. This is the right way to make decisions. I don't know what the right or wrong way is, but for me, when I read characters that are different and that I admire, that I think, okay, this is interesting, let me try this, I feel like it's worth it for me, and so I've gone on weird adventures. I made a film in Tokyo, just playing like the token white guy at a Japanese school, and I thought that was great. I had a great time. I don't think anyone's seen that film. I don't think anyone in Japan even saw that film. But I still enjoy that, and I think for me, I get something out of every experience, and hopefully I learn and grow from every one. I think that's the goal, really.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think inevitably when you see a film and it's done, you have to, or else you lose your mind, Sure, like, part of me will always judge everything I do and never be satisfied. I do like it. I do like it a lot. It's a different kind of film. For me, it's a film that, I said this to Pratik earlier, that, 70 years ago would have been sort of standard studio fare, in its earnestness, in the kind of aestheticism of its images. It is kind of what Hollywood used to put out one after the other, And they just were like, let's get a DP. The DP was like, we don't have enough lights, so let's make it look one way. And the director was like, the script's okay. There's a kind of quality to it that I think magically an Indian filmmaker brought back something that is very much of classical Hollywood. So I like the film a lot. In terms of my character, I can never fully like anything. I never agree with things I do. I get weirded out by it. But you kind of have to deal with it, right? I mean, like, what other options do I have other than dealing with it? I sort of have to look at it and go, okay, now this exists. What can I learn from it? What changes can I make? In the future, maybe I don't do this. In the future, maybe I do that. But, I mean, I think it's the same with everything. It's like eating, you make a meal that gives you the shits, and you're like, okay, well, what do I do differently next time? That's how I feel about work that I do. Yes.
Was that you playing the violin?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, oh, yeah. No. No, it's funny, I did learn the hand positions, and I went and there's this wonderful teacher. I mean, he plays, I believe, in a chamber orchestra. I don't know. At USC, his name's Etienne Gara. I would go and see him every day at USC, every night actually, after he got done teaching his other students, and taught the guy that just moved his hands, actually play. But yeah, I learned to do the positions. And like, if you actually heard what I was playing, somewhere in there's Paganini, but very deep in there, you know what I mean? Somewhere really, really, like, some little speck of Paganini was there, but
I think Anton's being honest. He actually learned how to play.
But I learned how to play, yeah.
He did do so. He did play, and that's a particularly complex piece of
It's not like you just pick up the violin and play Paganini. So it's like ludicrous, and they're like, you have 6 weeks to learn Paganini. Cool, you'll be fine, right? Sound great, right? And you're like, of course.
So, we had one of the best violinists in the world overdub it during the scoring stage, and she was like, this is the hardest thing I had to do in a long time.
No, it is very, very true for that piece.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Yes, the guy in the blue shirt.
Thank you.
I have one question regarding, have you seen Vinod's Bollywood or Indian movies?
Yes, I saw one film, and I don't know why I'm blanking on it. What?
The Royal Guard?
Yeah, The Royal Guard is what I saw. And but I hadn't seen Grinda, which is odd because I don't know if he ever mentioned it. Somehow it slipped past me and Chris that there had been a film.
Yeah, he probably didn't want you to see
Maybe that was it, because I don't remember him. Bernard's pretty explicit about what he wants you to do, and how he wants you to look at things, but it wasn't on the sort of agenda for him, which is interesting. And obviously, picking up, you watch the Royal Guard and stuff, there's, Vinod loves elements. He loves the elements. He loves fire, and so having seen that, I thought, there's going to be fire in this film. There will be fire. There will be colors, and there will be fire. But I think that's wonderful, I think I embrace that. I embrace cinema that has, an agenda and an idea, as long as I don't find the agenda reprehensible, and that has a current, a thought in it, and the current thought I think it's a lot harder to make an earnest film these days than to make an ironic film. I think every film is ironic, since the 90s, irony is sort of key, So it's amazing to see a film that is unironic in its maybe even unintentional homage to what filmmaking was, because films were earnest in the 40s, that's for sure, in the 30s, 40s. I think maybe Monogram Studios and really little B picture houses make kind of ironic movies, but for the most part, movies were, even in their very like Orson Welles movies, God for Self reflects that they're in earnest. I like to think, the darkness is in earnest, the self-awareness of the cinema is in earnest, and now we're in this like, which I like. But I think it's credit to know that he made a film that is earnest. It's a weird thing. We go to the movies all the time and see movies that are just references to other films. And they do it in a way that is, I like it. I'm not hating on it. I like it. I watch them all. But they do it in a way that is very self-aware. Whereas Vinod's filmmaking isn't. It's like, even if it looks like, even if it looks like a film from a bygone era, it's done so without wanting to do that. It's done so because that is who he is. Like, you could put Vinod Chopra in Hollywood in 1949, and he would be making 5 pictures a year. I think. It's kind of great. Wish I had time to shoot. Love to see Vinod in Hollywood in 1949. I wish I would go there with him. I'd be his assistant, which is fucking hard. Pratik, I have a tremendous respect for him, because I think a round of applause is due, because
Someone please tell them.
it's not an easy thing to do.
Other questions? Yes, the lady in the white. Oh,
Hey, man!
Ladies and
Welcome.
young Jakey. Young Jakey.
Right here, who actually is
He actually
a
played
violinist. Yeah.
My husband's plane got in late, so we are gonna see the movie at 10:55.
Oh, my
Oh, so you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it at 8, but,
Should Nicholas be allowed to see it?
so I guess, and Dara is now his violin teacher.
Oh, wonderful.
Has been since the movie.
Anyone here that wants to learn violin, Etienne Gara is your man. He's at 332 South.
Well, and he's doing a concert next Saturday.
Etienne is?
Yeah. So, yeah, partner
Oh, thanks.
here in town, I can get confirmation.
Well, Etienne Gara is playing in town
Next Saturday.
next Saturday.
Yes, Nicholas, you had a question?
I will probably watch the movie. I'll probably have a hand over my eyes. Some of the time. Hopefully not most.
Oh, thank you, Nicholas. He's great. He's such a great actor, great kid. Is there a question?
Yes, it's going to be super specific.
I just realized I should be watching my language if you're there.
I pretend you didn't hear him say that, Nicholas.
Excuse me. Sorry, man.
Oh, it's fine. I just have to say the wedding sequence was a beautiful moment. And since stories and movies evolve, was that originally written as like a happy ending, or was it always an imagination to give the audience a little bit? And if it was, how'd you feel during it? Like, what was your...
It's a good question. Do you remember what it was in the script at all?
I think it. Do you want me to say? I mean, I think.
Yes, I can't answer the question. Yes,
I think it's at some point there was an ending where just Jacob and Victoria would get married.
Yeah,
Afterwards.
right.
It was actually the wedding that actually happened.
And it was we were supposed to go to Italy, right?
You were supposed to go to
I'm
Verona.
glad we didn't. We're going to spend more money.
I would have. But no, but go ahead. I think they intended it to be like what did Vinod tell you about that scene before you guys shot it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think for me, it's always about Buddy and Jacob, always, and it's about, the film is really completely about this brotherly love, right? And so for me, it's just moving to know that one brother, even in death, gets this sort of fantasy, this wish fulfillment. It's probably his last thought is this marriage, It seems quite extravagant, probably unaffordable for that couple, but hey, can't really blame Buddy King. So I think it was just moving, I remember, it's funny, like, I wish I could say that I remember really moving details as much as I remember stupid details, like flower petals not falling correctly, flower petals getting stuck in Maria's hair unattractively, but that is the sort of reality, I guess, of films, is that things happen that are ugly, and you get rid of them unless you want them in there. But in that, you get rid of them, and then you remember, like, okay, we spent half an hour trying to get that ugly flower petal so that the pretty flower petal would fly, you know, lusciously through frame. You remember these things. You know, you remember a lot of stuff, but I remember these things as well.
That's fabulously poetic. But just one more question.
Okay, so.
But not mine.
Okay, who gets the last question? Yes, the young man.
So, you mentioned earlier that you always do your homework before you go to shoot. What your homework in this movie looked like?
You know, it's always different. I think for me, you work with the script. I think, you know, I've been influenced by actors recently where the homework's a little bit different, but I tend to, you know, you break apart the script and you try to ask as many questions as possible, and then you try to answer those questions. And the more questions you have, the more answers you have to those questions, hopefully the more informed your approach to the character will be. So you're never at work going, oh, shoot, what is the answer to this question? And then also watching movies, like watching, I know cruising is a weird reference, you don't really go to cruising when you watch this, but cruising was a reference. Watching Itzhak Perlman videos and Jascha Heifetz videos on YouTube, you know, and seeing when they play violin, what that's like. I remember watching Jascha Heifetz over and over and over again, you know. Yeah, it's stuff like that. It's like, you know, working out how people walk, seeing when you think you might change something. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a lot of different stuff. You just have to do it, I feel like. I think that's important. Just do it. This is brought to you, this Q&A is brought to you by Nike. No, yeah, you just do your homework.
Actually, I was going to say, like, usually when they do the thing in the ArcLight, they always ask the question at the end. There are always filmmakers, young filmmakers in the audience. And what kind of advice would you give the filmmakers here? You know,
I think just to make things, yeah, just do it. I'm wearing Nike shoes, and Kobe Mambas. No, Mambas out there shoes? No, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, just do it because I think the technology's out there. You can make 1080. Once again, I don't love HD, but you can make films on your iPhone, and the grain is actually pretty on the iPhone. I have a 4S, so the grain is pretty. Probably the new one's not so much grain. But yeah, you make stuff and write and make stuff and make stuff, act, write things, write your own movies, act in them, shoot them with your friends, score them with bands that you know, and try to put them out there because the channels are available, the technology is available, it's cheap. And if you don't do it, no one's going to see it, you know, but if you do it, at least you have it. And it's important, you know, someone might love it and respond to it and be moved by it, and it's your thought, and think about it. Don't not think about it, that's for sure.
very inspiring words from a great Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.